GrabBike. Peace. Something you may know is there are a lot of motorbikes in Vietnam. Something you may not know is that there's something called UberBike in Vietnam. Now, I'm sure you can guess what that is, and in this video, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about it, what UberBike is, also some alternatives to UberBike, as well as telling you about Uber itself and if that's a viable means for getting around Vietnam without owning or riding a motorbike yourself. So I just got back from our Ninja Teacher Meetup, which we're having regularly here in Ho Chi Minh City, just meeting up with new teachers, people that have been here a while too, and just having a weekly or maybe monthly event that people can show up to and just meet other people, just a nice way to get accustomed to the country and the city. So if you want to check that out, head over to the Facebook group we have and we post the events there. It's the Ninja Teacher community. I'll link it below in the description and leave a card up above. But basically what I wanted to introduce to you was this idea of UberBike, which is just a part of the Uber app, which is you can get on your phone, and when you're in Vietnam, you can use it to get an Uber bike. An Uber bike is just a motorcycle like these that someone's driving, and you just hop on and use it exactly the same as you would a normal Uber. So it's pretty cool. You just get picked up by a guy on a motorbike, hop on and get to where you want to go extremely cheaply. So that's the cool thing about UberBike, is it's really cheap. You can get around the city for, it depends how far you're going, but a couple of dollars to get to a location you want to go to. You can also use Uber quite cheaply for a car, and that's nice. You can avoid the crazy traffic on the back of a motorcycle. But most of the guys you hop on a bike with are pretty good at driving. I know a lot of people that use it a lot and they get around fine. There's also an alternative called Grab, which is just a different company. So you get the Grab app, and they have Grab cars and Grab bikes. So you can get a Grab bike. And again, this is also a cheap option. I know people that alternate between the two, and some prefer one or the other. I think that they're both very good, and either one is a good option for getting around if you don't want to own and ride a motorbike yourself. Hey, buddy. Hello. Hey. Hello. Yeah. So what do you need to know about Uber and Grab for getting around Vietnam? Well, the first point is that it's much easier to use it in Ho Chi Minh City, in the south of Vietnam, which is where I am now, than it is up in Hanoi. When I was in Hanoi living there, I didn't see much of it at all, and hardly anyone used it. People do jump on motorbike taxis, but the actual app, the UberBike and GrabBike apps, aren't used that much. Same with actual Ubers and Grabs. It's just not as popular there. Actually, I'm not 100% sure if they actually use it at all up there. If you know, comment and let me know. I didn't even know about it when I was there. I just heard about people using it in Ho Chi Minh City. Now that I'm here, lots of people use it. So what are the pros and cons of GrabBike and UberBike? Well, the first one is that it's very cheap to get around, and it's very convenient. You just literally use it the same way as you would Uber. There's tons of bikes everywhere, so you can just get a guy come and pick you up within a few minutes, pretty much wherever you are in the city. Obviously, there's times like maybe late at night where there aren't as many people out, and it's the same as Uber basically, but it's well used and very, very convenient. So you can use that GrabBike and UberBike part of the app and save some money. Trips can be as low as a few dollars to get a few kilometers away from you. A few kilometers is actually less than $1 even sometimes. If you're going all the way across the city, a few dollars. To give you some idea of the cost, Jacqueline on the Ninja Teacher team, she actually only uses GrabBike and Uber and UberBike. So as far as I know, she both uses the car and the bike options, and her last month actually only cost her $74 for all her transportation. Now, a note, she does live quite close to where our office is, so she doesn't travel that far, but she also uses it to get around to cafes and other places she's going. So that's really not a lot. I would say if you're traveling a bit further, you could expect to pay $100 to $200 a month, And I know she uses the actual car as well quite a lot, which is a bit more expensive, but then you can avoid the traffic. So I would say that's the one downside of the Grab and UberBike apps, is you're still in traffic on a motorcycle, which for some people that's something they don't want to do, right? I own my own motorbike and I like driving around in it. Some people just want to avoid motorbikes altogether, and I understand that. It looks really crazy. I've talked about riding a motorbike, buying a motorbike, renting a motorbike before, so I won't get into that in too much detail. But if you don't want to do it, then this is a viable option. But you're still on a motorbike, right? If you don't want to drive it, you're still on the back of a motorbike. I think overall it's a good option. And if you aren't comfortable on a bike, well then just get the Uber cars and the Grab cars. It's a little bit slower, so that's the downside of the car versions, because the roads are designed for motorbikes, zipping in and out. Cars get around very slowly in the city. So you basically have to just budget for like twice the amount of time. And if there's a lot of traffic, if you're going to peak hours, it can take you like over an hour to get across the city. Whereas on a motorbike, there's less chance of getting stuck in traffic, even in peak hours. It takes longer in traffic, but you'll get where you need to go within a reasonable amount of time. So I think as far as public transportation goes, it's not a bad option at all. Obviously, in my opinion, the best is to own your own motorbike or rent a motorbike. Secondly, if you want to save money, you can use GrabBike or UberBike. And thirdly, if you just want to be in a car that's got AC and you're out of the chaos of the roads, riding in a car as opposed to on the back of a motorbike, then you can pay a little bit more and use Uber or Grab. So yeah, those are some of the options you can use for getting around. I would say that in Ho Chi Minh City, it's very viable to use these apps to get around exclusively without having any other form of transportation. As you might know, the public transportation, at least in Vietnam, is not great. There's basically only buses and taxis. Taxis are okay. You can use Venus Sun or Mylin taxis, which are metered, and they are reputable companies. But if you use the apps like Uber and Grab, it will be a lot cheaper than actually getting a taxi. If you have any comments about using this, what do you think is the best way to get around Vietnam? Would you exclusively use an app like Uber to get around? Would you trust someone to hop on the back of a bike with them? Yeah, so leave a comment and let me know your thoughts on this way of getting around the city. Like I mentioned earlier, we have a pretty cool Facebook community group where you can join live events that we have and get your questions about teaching English abroad answered. So click on the link to go ahead and check that out. Otherwise, make sure to subscribe, and I'll speak to you again in a new video very soon. Peace.